Hello. Okay, so it is raining so intensely where I am right now. You most likely can hear it. I was a little hesitant to record because the rain is so loud, but it also just feels so magical and refreshing and calming. I was reading something earlier and it said one thing, but my eyes read something else. And what my eyes read, your life is upgrading. And as I was reading that, as I was reading and that came through, lightning started to light up the sky. And this was like maybe 2 hours ago. And just now I thought, should I record? And as I did, lightning literally started within a millisecond. And now as I say this, it also was lightning twice. Lightning has been coming through very much so. And something else that I had written down, it was 2:22 on the clock when I looked at the clock and heard something in my mind. Soul recognition phase. And I did have an image last night come in my mind's eye when I was meditating. A pentagram. And as I said that, my computer screen just went totally black. The other night I also had a vision of a horse. Specifically the profile of the horse, and then it started to shapeshift into like a unicorn. And I'm hearing that song in my head. Would you hear the thunder? Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? I forget who sings it. And I cannot look it up because the internet is out right now. I was about to talk about lightning, and then lightning went off again. So I'm being shown a transmission that I recorded maybe, I'm not sure when, honestly. The name of it just flew out of my mind. But I will link it below, and hopefully the name will come back to me. Because there may be messages in there for someone. And it has to do with a really vivid dream, astral experience, where I was sort of brought into a liminal space. I shouldn't say brought into. I've noticed a theme actually that just came through. So in this dream, there was like a masculine energy that was igniting an electric current, like lightning, within itself and transferring it to me in the dream, which felt collective. So if you're interested in that, specifically from like the Pleiadian consciousness, I'll call it. And I just read a passage from a book that came through. I haven't read the whole book, but it was coming through so strongly yesterday. And I shared a little bit about it on Patreon today when I was recording an overflow. And there's a specific paragraph in the opening of the book. I found it online, The Prism of Lyra, and it just really caught my eye. And I wanted to share it because it feels relevant to what I'm about to say and what I just shared. I was paused on 420, so that number could be for someone of significance. Of course, we all know about 420, so maybe, yeah. Okay, so what I was about to read, like I said, is a passage from the book Prism of Lyra. And when I say like a certain, well, before I explain, I'm going to read it and then I will let it come through. Okay, so in many cases, labels have been used to denote places or people such as Sirius or Syrians. In general, these labels are fluid, more denoting a realm or vibrational awareness than a fixed idea. In a case such as Lyra, for example, the possibility is respected that the very stars spoken have become black holes and white holes many times over. Therefore, these can be spoken of as ideas rather than concrete points in time and space. These ideas carry weight. This is quite apparent in our legends that give importance to other star systems. The Dogon tribe legends, the Sumerian texts, and the ancient Egyptian writings all claim contact with beings from other star systems. Context. Maybe someone needs more context here. I'll get there. These legends must come from somewhere. Though their language and contemporary style of expression differ slightly, because the consistency of their content is beyond argument. So the reason why I was so drawn to read that is because I often speak about, maybe not often, but cosmic consciousness, trying to understand more about the galactic influence that is becoming a lot more common right now. And yeah, I sometimes hesitate to speak on these things because, you know, even though those of us who feel like we've been tapping into this for quite some time, there's still this element of mystery. And, you know, it's not like anyone sits here and can really say like 1,000%, even if you haven't a metaphysical experience or some sort of more visceral experience, there's still so much mystery surrounding this. And there's such a multidimensionality to it as well that it's like I've noticed the more that I reignite that aspect of myself and of the collective as well. Yeah, there's just these integrations that happen that sort of shift things and new perspectives come. Anyway, so I really love this perspective because I often have found myself trying to find the words to sort of express this, and I have over time in different ways, but I just really appreciated how the authors of this book were presenting it. Yeah, so anytime I do speak about some more galactic or cosmic consciousness, other realms, etc., I always invite that sort of connection in terms of like the labels being fluid, and like it says here, more denoting a realm or vibrational awareness than a fixed idea. And I'm not sitting here saying that it can't be a fixed idea either, but yeah, I think that there's still so much to understand, of course. So, and I go into more detail about this on Patreon, the Overflow Kundalini Rising. So if that interests you, yeah, I'll definitely dive a bit deeper. So, okay, so I just paused and something told me to re-listen, which I like almost never do. Like so rarely do I listen to the first part of the audio because accidentally it cut, and I had to start another audio. I'm just releasing through the throat, excuse me. Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to start another audio. And when I listened to what I was speaking of in the beginning, where I said my eyes read that your life is upgrading, that is not what I wrote down. It was actually uploading, but I didn't even catch myself. So interesting. I'll probably put that in the title of the transmission because I was so clear that I thought I was saying the word uploading, but upgrading came out. So I just wanted to highlight that. with all this rain, it really feels like something is, I feel like good news is either has just happened or is happening. And one way you'll know that this is coming in, a lot of people in your life may be getting really good news around you. And that's been coming through. I paused and the timer was 13331. I was just taken to the archetype of the High Priestess, which has been coming through so much lately. The lights just went out when I said that. They're like blinking. And also, some of you may feel like you're connecting with like Ascended Master energy. Yeah. I'm just sort of sitting with the energy for a moment, and yeah, I never want to like give anyone false hope, of course, but I always like to embed in the intention that like if this finds you and it sounds like something that feels good to you, even if it feels maybe out of reach in some way, like anything that I ever bring through, there's always an invitation to utilize it as like planting a seed for yourself and following that feeling that you may get of excitement, again, even if things feel maybe a bit off or far, something along that line. So yeah, I just got chills. Yeah, there's something about trusting like the way that you feel and allowing, of course there's always a balance with that, right? When we dive deep into balancing our mental plane, our emotions with the physical, the spiritual, the subtle bodies, the subtle realms, there may be moments where you're more focused on like logic and clarity and things being a bit more mechanical, and then there'll be other times where you're feeling pulled to really like sit in your emotions and, you know, things like this. So there's something about like reharmonizing these aspects and trusting like where you're feeling pulled. The phrase deductive reasoning just came through, and I was reading about that earlier today. So, yeah. So I was just looking through my voice notes, and I realized that my last overflow recording is still in there. I just posted it on Patreon. And I started it at 11:11 a.m. and it was 1 minute and 11 seconds with 00 at the end. So you could be seeing repeating ones. And I was just doing some movement. And I've been recording this current transmission like off and on for the last like maybe 2 hours. And if you can hear, the rain is still going. Anyway, I was doing some movement and I was reminded that I also had a imprint of the rune Othala pop in within the last like day or so, when I was closing my eyes and laying down and I just saw it flash in. If you're not familiar with Othala, it is a rune that can translate, or signifies, I should say, heritage, inherited estate, or property. So, this can, of course, be literal for some people, and or the idea of what has been coming through is like for a lot of different people, like spiritual inheritance, you know, our innate reconnection to however it is that you define abundance, re-encrypted DNA, integrated aspects of our multidimensionality. So yeah, the last recording that came through, the last transmission, wow, what I was about to say completely just flew out of my mind. So maybe it wasn't meant to be said right now. But I have been noticing on the clock multiple birthdays of people that I know. So birthdays continued this week for some reason to be highlighted. Again, even if it's not your actual birthday, there's something significant about like birthdays, death days, or like anniversaries, like specific dates are being highlighted. And although I just did like a quick move, free flowing movement, something I like to call flow chi or flow ki, I'm going to do some more actually, but it just felt so freeing and really like my body needed it so much. So yeah, maybe someone here also is tapping into movement in some way. Movement. Also like being inspired was coming through. I saw someone moving in a video, which you know, I do this movement often, but like I hadn't done it yet today too much, just a little bit earlier. And it was just a reminder, even from, you know, a few hours of like, oh yeah. So yeah. I just heard the word tapestry, and then I was shown an emerald or something about the emerald ray. There are, I just heard it in my head, a multi-pronged process, but it sounds like it was like a pitch or a business pitch. I don't know, maybe someone here is thinking of putting together a pitch, or you're working on that. Or maybe some of you feel like you've been trying to be pitched lately, like, yeah. Or you could be getting like more scam calls than usual. There's something about that. I'm also seeing yin yoga or yin and yoga nidra, body scanning, just like presence practices, mindfulness, breathing, breath work, things like that could be really called for right now if you're not already doing this. Yeah, I'm just yawning a lot. So just to bring back full circle, yeah, your life is uploading. You know, when you're uploading a document or something, and you can watch it and it seems like it's going so much slower, but then sometimes there's an interruption, you have to start over. It feels like there's something that is like literally uploading right now. And waiting and watching, just, it's not that it won't come, it just may feel like that idea of like watching out a pot of water try to boil kind of thing. But it's your choice, you know, how you get to spend that time. So yeah. Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of like lavender, bath salts, like aromatherapy, yeah, things like this. I just like felt the need to like scratch my own head, so that could be helpful for someone. just continuing to go into this energy. Yeah, now I feel like I'm playing with my earlobe. So I know there was another aspect that wanted to come through. I could feel it. I always joke with my sister and her husband that I'm going to start something called Rest with Jess. And that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. I'm just resting and like sharing that. So maybe some of you are listening to this and resting, or maybe you're just in a resting phase, or I don't know, there's something just about resting. A lot of R words, resting, reboot, recharge, rewire, resurface. Okay. Oh yeah, I kept hearing a song the other day. It was in my head for like 1 or 2 days. That song, Hideaway. I don't know who sings it though. Hideaway. Sorry, that was terrible. And being in the jungle, I've been seeing a lot of roaches lately. And it just made me think of like, that song made me think of like a roach behavior when, you know, they don't love light. They like to be in the dark. So it's like when the light comes on, they scurry. So yeah, it's something about like maybe still for some of you being in that hideaway like habit, and there's this electric, you know, this electricity that's coming in to like reignite something, reignite a spark of being seen, stepping out into the spotlight in some way. And that can be a literal or of course metaphorical, like depending on your situation. So I had this, did I already speak about the shake-up Kundalini movement on the planet and reflecting back within certain people's lives? That was either I talked about it in this or in the Overflow Patreon that I just recorded. So my apologies, I'm not sure. But today I looked at the clock at 12:12 and instantly was reminded of a dream that I had the other day where I was, in the dream I was like demanding, but not in like a Veruca Willy Wonka, you know what I'm talking about? Not in that way. It was more like I was declaring that my financial situation was going to change. And so, yeah, maybe some of you are getting to a point where like, what's that phrase from like a lot of movies from the 90s? Like, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know. There's something about like advocating for yourself for something. And that came through in another transmission, but like self-advocating. But it's also like, yeah, like the Emperor in tarot, like becoming your own inner authority. And again, not in a way that's like cutting other people down or, it's like a lot of us, I feel like, have gone through maybe a certain phase of conditioning where like if we say we're going to like ask for something, or we feel like we're asking for too much or being too much or demanding too much. But this isn't a way of like it coming from a desire within you and like not being afraid to like, I shouldn't say not being afraid, but allowing a balance of alignment, action, inspired action, you know, all these different reharmonization aspects to come in alignment for this next octave of life upgrade, of life uploading, you know, this whole idea of glowing up, glowing in, glowing up, glowing out. I also just want to say, keep saying congratulations. And I know I've mentioned this before, But in the dream, it reminded me, the dream I just mentioned, it reminded me of when I was a court reporter. I interned for what felt like forever at the time. And I remember, before I went out on my first deposition, my first job, everyone did an internship, at least that I know of. And I was a freelancer, so I was shadowing all these different reporters. And I remember at one point I was starting to I sat with almost everyone that freelanced with this one agency that I was starting with. And I remember it got to a point where some of them were like, you've already sat with me multiple times. What are you doing? Go work. Why are you still interning? And I was just I don't know. I don't know why I'm still interning. It felt like, they were no one interns this long. What are you doing? And I was just I don't know what's happening. And I remember I was psyching myself up so much I was going to call the agency owner and be either you put me out or I'm going somewhere else. This is ridiculous. Why am I still interning? I was so confused. I was am I doing something wrong? I was turning in my pages to be reviewed and I was getting really good feedback. And I was what is going on? And so I think I sent a message or an email, and then the agency owner, who wound up being a mentor to me over the years, he called me, and I was at the time, God, how old was I? 20, I don't know, maybe 21. I was shitting my pants. And I remember I answered the phone, and he's so I got your email, I don't remember verbatim, but this was the gist of the conversation. So you're ready to go? You wanna work now? And I was just what is happening? Yes, of course I do. It was I literally cannot afford to intern anymore. I need to make money. I'm ready. I have to do this. And he was great, you start tomorrow. And I was what? And he was I was just waiting for you to tell me you were ready. Because I did come off a little bit, I was very introverted and shy, I guess you could say. I had such a hard time interviewing for jobs. I used to be there was something about interviewing or just asserting myself in that way. It was not my strong suit at all. And that was it. I started the next day, and then that was that. I never had to intern again in that, for that. And I just remember it was so, he was, I was all worked up, and, working up the nerve, and, I was fired up, and he was so calm, and he was just yeah, I was just waiting for you to do this. He's I knew, what did he say? He was I knew you had it in you, and I was just waiting for it to come out. He's I needed you to tell me, put me out there, I'm ready now. He's I was waiting for that. Which, at the time, I was oh my God. Anyway, so this dream reminded me of that experience. I was because I've kind of been doing, I guess you could say, another version of an internship in, this career change and embracing content creation and all of the other business aspects that I'm incorporating as what I'm calling an oracular style channel. And yeah, and I felt in the dream I was demanding, I have put in my time, I am ready. So yeah, some of you, I almost just rolled off my bed, by the way. I feel I'm so silly right now. Literally just almost rolled off the bed. I had to catch myself. Seriously, my head almost just hit the floor. Okay, anyway, so yeah, now I'm the energy is getting so silly. So I feel yeah, maybe some of you feel this, or maybe it's something, once you hear it, you're oh my God, I totally get it. I don't know, there's just something about that energy coming through so strongly. Yeah. And it's funny because my first thought when I woke up and remembered that dream, I was oh my God, was I being unreasonable? And then I was no, I wasn't being unreasonable. It's that type of mindset that I think has been being transmuted on a collective level as well, of there's so many other aspects to this that I could bring through, but I'm feeling actually called to just let it be what it is for now. And yeah, anyone can feel free to comment if there's something further they would like to add to that, because I do feel many other things, and I just got super hot when I said that, especially in the neck area. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. So thank you very much. And yeah, if there's anything you would like to say, please do. Yeah, I just want to say something like, enjoy the ride, you know, upgrading in process, uploading in process, and sometimes we do multiple, like we upload multiple things at once too, you know, so it may be more than one facet. Oh, you heard that thunder? Okay, I'm going to end on that note. Thank you.